There's a lot of acres out of my property I'd like to get water to, and when I bought the place a few years ago, I noticed there is some sort of irrigation system here. It appears to be kind of abandoned though, and I don't know when the last time this system ran, if it works, how it works. I really know nothing about it. So I'm going to try to get this thing up and running and see how it goes. A bird's eye view of some of the areas in which I'd like to get water. There's this one here, then on the other side of the drive, that area as well. Then here across the clearing, this area also. Now, the house has its own well, but here, the barn in the red circle, that has a well as well. And inside the barn is a pressure tank. But outside here, there's this well head, I guess that's what it's called, and there's wires running out, and I don't know where they go. Obviously for a pump, but is the pump in the well, and these are the wire leads coming out, or these are the leads coming from the barn? I don't know. There is water, however. If I pump this up and down, I do get water flowing, and the foot valve's working. It's only about 12 feet down. The top level is only about 12 feet down. I pulled the entire intake or suction pipe out because I thought there's supposed to be a pump on there, but there's not. And it turns out it's about 30 feet long. After some asking around, I found out the way that this is supposed to work is that I'm going to need an above ground pump. They call it a jet pump, but it's just a centrifugal pump, and that's going to pull the water out of the well and then pump it back down this pipe, which then leads to the rest of the system. Which makes sense to me now that a pump that's small enough to fit down into this well probably isn't going to have the capacity to supply a commercial irrigation system. Before I start messing with pumps and so forth though, I just have a hose running from the house, and I'm going to start pumping water down into the system and see if it fills up or holds pressure, or where water starts coming out, or if there's breaks in the line. I have no idea. Back to the satellite view, of course there's the barn still in a red circle, and then these other red circles are areas that I have found where there's pipes coming up out of the ground. Some of them have threaded fittings on them, other ones actually have sprinkler heads on them, impact sprinkler heads, like commercial size. And there's also this spigot here that's definitely not connected to the water system in the house. So I had my buddy Bob come over to give me some more on support while I try to figure this thing out. All right, turning on water now. All right, it's shaking. Water's running. If I open this up and it starts spitting and stuff, then I'll know it's connected to this. All right. Wasn't getting anything from that spigot out on the lawn, so I'm checking the spigot in the barn because there is one on the pressure tank here, or close to the pressure tank. Wasn't a lot coming out, but the entire system could be completely empty and might be still filling up. So that standpipe tees off underground and runs to the pressure tank. I'm going to put this on to purge air while the water's going in, and don't want to flood the barn. After about 5 or 10 more minutes, I'm checking. There's still some water flowing from this hose that I ran from the spigot in the barn. It's definitely not the full amount of water that's going into the system for sure. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even have enough pressure to push the water up 6 feet. I'm going to go back and check the other spigot now that it's been about 10 minutes. Like water trying to run through the system or anything? Turns out that attachment one side was closed, the other side was completely clogged with something. So now that I pulled that off, water's flowing.
Oh my God.
I closed the spigot on the lawn. I'm going to go back to the barn, close that one as well to see if I can build some pressure in the rest of the system. Go out to some of the other locations where there's some discharge pipes and see if I get anything running from those.
There's no valve on this, is there?
No, that's the thing, is there's no valve.
Cap on it?
No, there's no cap. It's just there. And I'm just listening to see if I can hear anything at all. I hear absolutely nothing.
That's interesting.
It wouldn't be a well. It's got to be. Yeah. So it's weird. You got different sized pipes coming out. There's this one here. That one's actually got a valve on it.
Yeah, you're wondering if you meant to pump. Oh, here's another. Interesting.
And this one is just. Let's see what's going on here. Well, that's got a. Yeah, see, that's got a barbed fitting on it, and so that runs out of the ground to this barbed fitting that does not have a valve on it. I don't know why it's tied down like that. So right now, as I'm driving around trying to figure out where the water is going, I'm also trying to make heads or tails of the system. Some of these locations have solenoids on them. There is a control box in the barn, a timer setup that would run these solenoids, but then other locations have just a manual valve, or they've got a barb fitting, or just an open pipe, or with threads on it or something. So not a lot of consistency here. The only thing consistent is that I'm getting water out of none of them.
Well, so you're still pumping water into it, right?
Well, yeah, there's still water going in. It's just slow. So we've had the water from the house running into this system for about an hour now. And at first we were getting water coming out of this spigot here out on the lawn, and also the one by the barn. But now, nothing. Water's still running in, but it's not coming out. So a couple of things possibly. There was a blockage somewhere downline of this point, and everything was backing up to there, and thus I'm getting pressure and water coming up through the spigot here. And then that blockage got cleared or let go, and now the rest of the system is filling up, and thus a pressure drop, maybe. Or there was a weak spot in the system and it was holding until the pressure built too much, and then it got compromised, and now water's going somewhere it's not supposed to be going. I've been tooling around for a half an hour looking for maybe a marshy spot or somewhere where the water is coming out, but I haven't found anything. There's obviously a problem in the system, but I don't think the amount of volume of water coming from the house there is going to tell me where it is. So I guess I'm going to have to jump ahead to the next step, which is get a centrifugal pump, hook that up, push a ton of water through the system, then it'll tell me where the issue is. So I got a pump, here it is, 4,000 gallons an hour. When I start this, maybe we'll get some geysers popping up, I don't know, blowing a bunch of gophers out of their holes. We'll see what happens.